In this project, we'll be furthering our concept of parallelism, having two sprites tell jokes and interact with one another. Remember, just as in conversation, when one person's talking, you need to wait and listen to them before you respond. The first time we are coding through this program, we will be using the wait blocks to simulate conversation or listening. The project requirements are that you tell 8 jokes using 2 sprites with interaction, and then at the end of every joke, you create a laughing sound and a change in the backdrop to signal the beginning of the next joke. As you see in the code over here, you have a 1 clicked, and there is a wait while the other sprite is talking, and then you respond with hello. And then there is another wait while the other sprite says knock knock, because you definitely don't want to say who's there until that first sprite is done with their knock knock portion of the joke. If you notice at the end of every joke, there is a play sound that can be found under the human sound tab. So when you're in sounds, you would have gone to the speaker icon here and over to humans and pulled in this. That is then coded on the script from the play sound area. When you're done with this project, we'll be moving on to doing the broadcast blocks. The last thing I wanted to mention is the next backdrop code, and that only works if you remember on your stage side, in 7 or 8 backdrops for your stage, so that we'll go from one to the next after each joke. Okay, now we're ready to make the code a little bit more efficient, and to take this and use the broadcast blocks to make it more efficient. Make sure that you do File, Save as a Copy, because you will be required to turn in both versions of this project. Okay, now that I have my second version renamed, I can go ahead and edit and make changes. Every single time you see play sound and next backdrop, I'm going to replace that with a broadcast message. Normally, when we see a repeating code, we can either use a loop or a function block. In this case, it is a non-specific pattern, so we would be using a function block, except if I decide to change sprites later on in the program, or if I decide I want the second sprite to tell a joke and not the first, I want to make sure that this code works in both programs that are running at the same time, which again is parallelism. So it's more effective to use a broadcast block in this case. Remember, your broadcast blocks are always under the Events tab, and so you can pull in your broadcast block. Normally when you do this, you will not have punchline already listed in there, so you will need to click on the triangle to the right and add a new message stating punchline. Okay, but every single place that I pull out the play sound and next backdrop, I will be pulling in a broadcast punchline block. And then here is the third one. And again, I will be pulling in the broadcast punchline block. Most of these blocks I won't end up deleting, but I do want to take one and save them in the backpack because again, I need to program when that bat signal is cast out or when that broadcast block sends out the message of punchline. I'm going to have to tell my stage later that it needs to play that sound and change the next backdrop. So again, I'm going to pull it in and I'm going to repeat this until I do all 8 jokes. But for now, I will show you that these just get deleted, and then we can worry about going over now on the stage side. And again, in the events category, the same place where we created the broadcast block, We're going to say when I receive punchline, you're going to play the sound of laughter and you go to the next backdrop. So this actually makes our code much more efficient. We're going from 8 jokes, each with a backdrop block. So that was a total of 16 blocks. And we are now down to 8 blocks plus the couple over here. And that is a brief overview on how we use broadcast blocks to make coding more efficient.